Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Sarah. I'm an attachment style specialist, mindset mastery coach, and transformational hypnotherapist. And today we're talking about how to spot an avoidant from the first date. These are yellow flags. Some are kind of bordering on red flags here to help you spot an avoidant so that you decide if you want to move forward or maybe you don't want to move past that first date. I think these are really important because it's very easy for us to sort of consciously or unconsciously rather step over these boundaries or non-negotiables or things that maybe just don't add up. And I want to bring some clarity and shed some light for those of you who are in the dating stages or those of you who will be in the future, okay, whether near future, far future, even some of you who say, I never want to date again, you probably will get out there at some point in time. You'll put yourself back out there. So let's take a look. If you'd like a one-on-one mindset mastery session with me, click on the link in the description box below for a free 20-minute discovery call to find out if you and I would be a good fit to work together. I would obviously love to work with you. And please do click to subscribe to the channel, and because you're going to get notification every time I upload, but also my website is about to launch any day now. I was hoping to get it in March. Hopefully, I think I'll get it by the end of March, but also I have lots of things coming. So I'll be selling workbooks. I want to make this information accessible to everybody. Excuse me. So workbooks, courses, and also group hypnotherapy sessions. I'll be bringing those online and introducing that to all of you. And I absolutely love working with groups, whether it's in person or Zoom sessions. So stay tuned for all of that. Let's get right into this content. So how to spot an avoidant on the first date. One of the first things you want to look for is, are they accountable when it comes to their past relationships and past lovers? Have they had a lot of divorces? If so, when you ask questions about that, which by the way, contrary to, all of those books that we got in the 90s and 2000s about, how not to scare off a guy. No, scare off the wrong guy. Scare off the wrong woman. Okay? We don't have time to lose anymore. A lot of my clients are 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, even 30s. Why would you want to waste time worrying about scaring off somebody? If you're scaring them off with your honesty and with your non-negotiables, then frankly, they are not the right partner for you. This is not about you self-sacrificing or self-abandoning. And that's one of the things I do with my clients, is help to bring you to this place of just super confidence, radical self-responsibility, taking accountability for your life, but also the choices you've made or are making in love and in relationships to bring you that right partner. It's not going to be the perfect partner, but might be the perfect partner for you. How to stop self-abandoning. So what does this person say when you bring up past relationships? Are they open to talk about it? Do they tend to shut down? Notice their body language. Notice their expressions, their facial expressions. Do their eyes shift? Do they get quiet? Do they seem uncomfortable? Do they close up, clam up? What happens? And are they able to actually provide an explanation? Are they able to say, yeah, I know I played my role, but more so than that, well, what role did you play? And if they don't know, that's a yellow flag. If they don't say anything at all or want to avoid that topic, I would say that's a red flag, my friends. So I think that's a really important topic to bring up early on, especially if you're 40 plus. There's no time to waste with partners who just aren't going to be at the level that you need them to be at. Pardon me. Emotional intelligence. This is a good one. Do they choose, or it's not even a choice, it's actually a subconscious nervous system choice, right? And remember that attachment styles are adaptations, right? I explained that in my video from yesterday, so go check that out. Do they disconnect when emotional topics or deeper topics arise? Do you notice what happens? Do they disconnect when things start to get deep, when you start to talk about raw things? Do they look away? Do their eyes become shifty? Do they change the subject? Do they get uncomfortable? Do they laugh instead of cry? All of these things. Not that you would be crying on a first date, but maybe, if something comes up, and that vulnerability arises, do they laugh instead of cry? These are just things that you can notice. But even micro expressions or changes, do they shift away from you when they're sitting? Right? All of these things that you can notice. What happens when you try to go deeper with this person? If you're an emotionally intelligent and deeper person, you're going to want somebody who you can connect with on that level. That makes sense. You're entitled to want that and to be able to choose that and to have that in your life. Number 3, values. What do they value? Oftentimes with avoidance, you'll find they value money, they value achievements, they value independence or self-sufficiency. I think I said this yesterday on my secure attachment video, but you will often find an avoidant, like if you're still on dating sites, I don't even, do those still exist? I did them like years ago. I know they're out there. I know there have been success stories. Does that person, they might say like, I'm fiercely independent, right? And you're like, ooh, that's kind of a red flag for avoidance there. Why do you feel the need to broadcast that? Because in essence, what you're saying is, I'm not really wired for connection. That's what they're saying without saying it. They don't even know they're saying it, right? So what are their values? Do your values match up? This cannot be more important. But first, you get clear on your values. How do you get clear on your values? Well, that's another video, right? But get clear on what your values are. What do you value? And what do you want your partner to value? Do they have to match up? Does everything have to match up? Or could it just be some things that match up? Number 4, flexibility or rigidity. Okay, what do I mean by that? Are they open? Is there an openness to other ideas other than their own? Are they open to even just different date ideas, suggestions for the second date? Are they open-minded? Or are they more rigid? Are they open to other opinions about things? An avoidant, one of the adaptations of the avoidant is they tend to sort of be closed off to other people's ideas. They tend to like things their way and their way only. This is why it can be so challenging when you get too fearful avoidance inside a relationship. You often won't see too dismissive avoidance inside a relationship, but you can definitely see too fearful avoidance. And that will look really kind of, it's just like there's no room in that relationship. Like too fearful avoidance, one's going to be anxious, one's going to be avoidant, then you turn into the anxious avoidant partnership and trap. Okay, and then we know what that creates, right? That creates distress and stress and pain for both people. Yes, both people, even the avoidant. So, really just understanding, like, is this person open to different things, right? Are they open to exploring different things with me? I think that that's a really good question. Number 5, do they have an undercurrent? This one's kind of hard to pinpoint. This is going to be that feeling that you have. I just spoke with a client this morning. It's that feeling you have, like something's missing. They're withholding information. There's an undercurrent of seriousness or disconnectedness. It's like you can't peel back the layer of the onion with this person. This is important. Pay attention to this one. It almost feels like you can't pinpoint this. This is something you can feel, but you can't really even give examples of. So they'll ask for examples and you'll say, well, I don't know. This is hard. Like further on, it will look like all the things I've suggested in several of my videos, them walking ahead of you, them reverting to, their look at their phone, them staying busy, working long hours, fidgeting in the garage, refusing to sit down next to you and really spend time with you, anything that would create that connection, wanting to sleep in the other room, like giving excuses for not being intimate. Any number of things, starting a conversation, trailing off mid-sentence. These are all ways in which they may disconnect. This disconnectedness is big, and it is almost always a red flag that you're dealing with an avoidant type person. Pardon me, an avoidant adaptation. Number 6, downplaying childhood traumas. So let's say you get into a topic of conversation on the first date or the first several dates about what happened in your childhood. How was your childhood? This is a conversation you absolutely should have with people. Have they come face to face with that? What work have they done to process that? Have they worked it through with a therapist, a coach, a somatic healer, a shaman? What have they done? Ayahuasca. What have they done to work through that? You want to know that somebody's actively working through their traumas and actively facing them and not facing away from them. Are they aware of cycles that have played out in their life because of their childhood trauma in their relationships? And if they're not, this is, a really good time, especially if you are aware of your cycles and you are working on your traumas, this is a really good time to ascertain if this person may be a good match for you or if it may not be a good fit after all. And I guess the question is, maybe they haven't heard about attachment styles. Maybe they don't really fully understand or grasp how difficult or painful or traumatic their childhood was. Maybe you are the person that brings that to their attention. And if they're willing to, discuss that, and again, are they open-minded? Are they shutting down when you bring this topic up? Are they saying something to you like, well, I know there was trauma, there was a lot of it, and they'll maybe even give examples of it, but then they'll say, well, I know my parents were doing their best. That's not the same as healing, guys. That is a mechanism. That's an adaptation to survive. That's not healing, that's not dealing with, that's suppressing or repressing. In essence, that's avoiding. And it sounds good on the surface. You're like, wow, this person's emotionally very, very mature. But what's actually happening is there's an avoidance there because it's too painful. So whether that person's going to, because that ultimately, if it's unaddressed and unhealed trauma, it is affecting that person's life. It's affecting their relationships, and it's affecting how their life is playing. It can affect your money. It can affect your success. It can affect a number of things, your friendships. It can affect the joy that you can feel, that, you know, the container of joy that you can create for yourself in your life. It can create, you know, it can affect your self-confidence. Any number of things are affected by these unaddressed, unhealed traumas that are playing out. Generational traumas, are they aware of that? What happened in their family line? These are all really important topics. They sound really serious because they are, because if you're truly looking for a life partner, you want to address these things. If you're not, you're probably not, you know, on my channel. The people that are on my channel are looking for real, lasting relationships and real, true connection. Number 8, surface or superficial level talk. Are they unwilling? Pardon me, guys. Let me get a sip of water. I'm so sorry. There's spring allergies here. Are they unwilling or unable to go deeper, you know, to talk about some of those more challenging topics? Are they going to go there with you? Are they going to go deep, or are they going to step back? You may even see their body language kind of, they may shift back, they may turn to the side, they may block themselves, they may cross their hands, they may somehow block themselves and block their body and their energy from receiving what you're saying. Number 9, love bombing. You know, this is a term that's often associated with narcissistic abuse. It was such a buzzword like 8 years ago, 9, 10 years ago, and it continues to be. Everybody's ex is a narcissist. That's not really the case, guys. A lot of those exes are avoidance. It's not the same thing. And love bombing. So this is when somebody goes over the top really quickly, like jumping in feet first and then thinking about it later. And the reason they're able to do this is it's creating a superficial bond without emotional depth. Again, the dopamine is flowing. I've talked about this before. So it's easy for them to create this. It's superficial. It may not seem superficial, although if you're somewhat secure or somewhat healed or more secure and more healed, you're going to pick up on this because you're going to feel like this is really too soon, too fast. Pay attention to those, pay attention to that gut instinct and gut reaction. It is too soon. It is too fast. They don't know you. They may even say like, oh my gosh, you're the one I've been looking for. Oh my gosh, like if it's not you, then it's no one, then I'll just be alone forever. They may say really dramatic statements like that can sound really wonderful and beautiful, especially if you've been lonely or single for a long time and you just want a partner. We can really latch on to what people are saying. We want to believe them. They believe themselves in the moment, guys. This is not like an ulterior motive to take you down. They actually believe what they're saying in the moment. It's just that when things start to get serious and that dopamine starts to wear off and they don't really have that oxytocin bond like you do, right? There's like nothing to bond to, that there's no glue or adhesion to hold the relationship and the connection together, because what was there in the beginning was that superficial bond, but they're doing that to sort of reel you in on a subconscious level because ultimately they're afraid that they are actually defective at their core. And so they've got to get you in the beginning when you think that they're the best thing since sliced bread, because if they wait too long, then the real truth of them is going to be revealed. And honestly, the truth about avoidance is they're really deeply unhappy. Anybody that believes that their core like limiting belief is that they're defective, they're not going to be happy. They are very unhappy people who don't know how to bond. Like imagine what that feels like for a minute. Can you just go into empathy and compassion for a moment? It doesn't mean you have to go back to that person. It doesn't even mean you have to forgive them. Can you just for a moment like tap into that feeling of empathy or compassion? That this would be incredibly difficult to move through life being unable to truly deeply bond or connect with other people. They want it, they just don't know how to do it. And once it appears and once that person says, okay, you want to bond, let's bond, that's when they start to introduce chaos into the relationship. So just take a moment, see if you can connect with that. If that doesn't resonate, that's okay too. Maybe it's just not time and maybe you're just not ready to go to that space. Number 10, the last point I want to make. They'll redirect the conversation or topic away from themselves, often. They'll shift the focus onto you, or they'll use humor to deflect. this is really important. Again, this is like glaring red flag that you're probably dealing with an avoidant type. And to what degree, I don't know. Fearful avoidant, dismissive avoidant, I don't know. But they're going to, again, they don't want to talk about themselves. They don't want to go too deep. You'll get superficial information. What I hear from clients and my own personal experience with my husband is you'll realize at a certain point, you're like, this is a superficial relationship. And I happen to be a pretty deep person. I'm a deep thinker. I love talking about, deep subjects. Now he could go there, like let's say substances are involved, right? You get you throw a little THC in there and he could go there, right? Or for some, avoidants, they might drink. A lot of avoidants actually do. They'll have substance abuse disorders because it gets them out of their shell. They'll drink or they'll, you know what I mean? Like they'll smoke a little bit and suddenly they're like open and flowing and the conversation's flowing and you're feeling connected to them. And then the next day it's like that person disappears. That can be really confusing and very, very challenging for a person's nervous system. I want to make that really just inherently clear that if that has happened to you, you're going to need some help in really releasing that trauma. That does become a trauma. It can even become a trauma bond because you love this person, you see one version of this person and they can present themselves one way and then they can present themselves as really that secure, loving, attached partner in another conversation or at another time. And so you're sort of left like, well, which is the real one? Who's the real person here? So just want to just be tender with yourselves, guys, as you're going through this process. But I wanted to give you 10 real life examples of how you can spot an avoidant on the first date or even on the first couple dates in the early stages of dating so that you can avoid more pain down the line, so that you can protect yourself. And again, we're not walking around with this wall of protection around us, but we are going to peek out when we feel it's right and we're going to ask the right questions. And we're also going to be honest with ourselves when we recognize that we might be dealing with an avoidant, we might be dealing with an anxious person, and we're going to go, you know what, I'm ready for a secure partner. I've done my work, I feel secure. This is actually not the right fit for me. And instead of making exceptions, which we all have done, myself included, instead of making exceptions, we're going to really listen to our guts. We're going to not self-abandon, not self-reject. We're really going to just be loving towards ourselves first and foremost. And if that person chooses to step up, absolutely. If they're like, you know what? You made me realize something in that conversation or on that first date. I really want to start digging into the work, and I think it would be great if we could date and I could do this work while dating you. Oh my God, a dream come true. So listen to what they're saying. Watch what they're doing, watch their expressions, their micro expressions, their body language. Listen to the places. Listen, if they're not willing to go to certain places, that's really important. They're giving you information about where they are, not who they are, but just where they are in the process, and take it at face value. I hope that this was helpful, guys. Have a beautiful day. It's an absolutely beautiful day here. I hope you can feel the energy. The bird, the crow is agreeing. Crow or a raven? I think that's a raven. The ravens are agreeing here. They're all over. So I bring these videos to you, and it's going to get real hot here real soon, and I won't be able to do this. So that's why I'm doing it now, because I really want you to just experience the beauty that I live in, and also the beautiful energy that I'm putting out there and receiving in these videos. So please receive with love and compassion to all my people who are hurting, who are going through breakups and divorces. My heart is with you. I so empathize and I so understand. Have a beautiful day, guys. Take care.